All right, thank you very much, Amanda. And hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. So as you know, my name is Maxine. My name is Maxine Moylan. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I'm the Assistant Director of Centers for the Office of Diversity, Intercultural, and Community Engagement, or DICE. We're a division, or we're a unit of the Office of Student Life within the Division of Student Affairs. And our office's goal is really to, promote a sense of belonging and community among students here on campus. So for this particular presentation, we're predominantly going to be focusing on LGBTQ student life on campus and the types of resources offered and available to students in the community. Before we get into that, I do want to, let everyone know that while we are talking about, LGBTQ resources and the LGBTQ Center and more, these resources are open and available to everyone in the campus community. You don't need to identify a certain way to use them. It's welcome to everyone. So continuing on, as you know, my name is Maxine. I am a two-time Stony Brook alum myself, so I'm really glad to, get the chance to speak to some potential future Seawolves. Here's just, my contact information. If you have any questions afterwards and, need to ask any follow-ups or anything you didn't feel comfortable bringing up, during the presentation, please don't hesitate to, send me an email. So here at Stony Brook, we have the LGBTQ Center on campus. We're located on the second floor of West Side Dining. You can see a picture right there. It's actually a slightly older picture. It looks a little nicer from the outside now. We have some pride flags hanging up in the windows. This was from right around the time it opened. So we're open 6 days a week currently. Monday through Thursday, we're open 12 to 10. Fridays, we're open 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. And Sundays, we're open 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. And as I mentioned, our centers and our departments are really focused on creating and promoting a sense of belonging here on campus. We want students of all backgrounds and all identities to know that there is a space for them on campus in which they belong. And we do that through a multi-pronged approach. So this is a shot of the inside of the center. As you can see, it was established in 2018. And here at the LGBTQ Center, we offer a variety of things. We like to take a three-pronged approach. Our slogan is educate, advocate, celebrate. So first, we like to educate the general campus community about LGBTQ identities and history, as well as educating LGBTQ students about the community's history and educating them about resources and rights and protections available to them. We advocate for inclusive policies here on campus. We'll be getting into some of those policies shortly. And also we serve as advocates, when students have any issues or concerns that pop up, in their time here on campus, we're happy to serve as sounding boards or connect them with the resources necessary. And of course, the last part is celebrate. We want students to feel that they not only belong, but that they make this community what it is and they make it strong and great. So here in the LGBTQ Center, there are two full-time professional staff members, myself and Rosanna, our coordinator. So the two of us help oversee our team of student staff. We have a variety of students who are either interns or paid staff assistants and a mix of undergraduates and graduates. So really they do, they are the driving force behind a lot of what we do. We like to make sure that all of our programs and events are really student driven and student focused. While I do love Stony Brook, it's been a few years since I graduated, so I don't necessarily know exactly what is at the front of everyone's minds that they really want to see in programming. So that's part of why we rely on our student staff to really, tell us what's relevant and what's important and what students want to see in the community, right? So as you can see here in the center, it's a rather large open space, and almost every aspect of the LGBTQ Center has been designed with inclusivity and accessibility in mind. As you can see in the photo, there are many open spaces between pieces of furniture, things like that, which is intentional to make sure that every space within the center is accessible via wheelchair or any other mobility aids folks may need. All the lights are dimmable, non-fluorescent lights. We know many people have, sensitivities to fluorescent lights. I used to work in a job where I sat under fluorescent lights all day, and trust me, it is not pleasant. We like to adapt in that way. We generally have music playing in the center at a reasonable volume to, obviously provide background music for everyone, but also to allow a degree of, you know, comfort and a sense of confidentiality when folks are speaking in the center that, whoever's walking by in the hall isn't going to necessarily hear you. Um, we have a row of computers that students are free to use if they prefer to do some work here. And we have folks come into the center for all variety of reasons. We have some folks come in looking for resource referrals. We're happy to connect students with whether it's mental health resources, off-campus referrals for gender affirming care. Sometimes folks just want to know about, general educational resources or, methods of using different types of protection. We partner with various campus agencies to make sure that that is all accessible readily in the center. Um, Pardon me. We also hold a variety of events in the center, in both our conference room as well as that lounge space pictured on the slide. And those events are, they run the spectrum from educational, events really exploring things you might not have known and pushing the boundaries of what you've conceived of as LGBTQ identities and really challenging built-in assumptions and beliefs and biases. And we also have community building events that are just really being here in community with other people, other students who share similar identities, experiences, or backgrounds, or just similar interests. So there's really a bit of something for everyone. Here you can see on the slide, we just have our four methods of keeping in touch that we predominantly use. So we have our Instagram account at SBU LGBTQ Services. We post many of our events on there, as well as regular posts about different awareness days and visibility days and weeks for different identities. We have our email address, obviously, lgbtqservices@stonybrook.edu. That inbox is monitored by myself as well as the student staff here, so we try to respond to any student inquiries that come in. SB Engaged, you might not be familiar with if you're still learning a bit about Stony Brook, but that's the platform that we use for promoting events here on campus. It's not just what our department uses. All the departments on campus currently use that to promote their events. I don't know if or when, that platform might change. I know, contracts are always changing, but, there's a centralized place where if you're not sure what to do on a given day or a given night, you can pull up that website and see what's going on campus. You can filter by, themes of events. If you want to attend, say, an arts and crafts event, find out what's going on with that. If you want to attend an event with free food, you can search for that. Giveaways, same thing. If you're looking for something that's more social action oriented, there's a couple dozen categories you could search by. And of course, our phone number, 631-632-1690. Anytime the center is open, we're happy to answer the phone and respond to any inquiries students might have. So I mentioned before that we advocate for inclusive policies here on campus. And next, I want to talk a bit about some of those policies. You know, they can sometimes seem, they can sometimes be taken for granted by folks who just think that, oh, this is the way that it is. But I want you to know, as someone who, like I said, used to go here as a student and obviously keeps in touch with colleagues at other institutions, each and every one of these was really hard fought for and came from a place of seeing a need in the community and advocating for it to get the administration to implement these. So up first, we have all gender restrooms. Not going to read through the entire slide. Obviously, there is a lot of text, but not all bathrooms on campus are all gender restrooms, but we try to ensure that each major building on campus has at least one all gender restroom. We do have one right here in the LGBTQ Center. We also maintain a map of campus that shows where these restrooms are. So if folks want or need to use them, they have a centralized location which they can access that information. And as stated on there, anyone can use these regardless of gender identity or expression. No one's standing there at the door checking if that's for you. It's really just a space for folks who want to get in and out and and use it, right? Up next, we have gender inclusive housing. We do get a lot of questions about this, so this one I do want to spend a little more time on. So in short, gender inclusive housing is a housing option on campus where students can opt in to live with a roommate regardless of, gender, sex, identity, anything like that. Anyone in it has to opt into it. No one is ever going to be put into gender inclusive housing against their will. Quite the opposite, actually. You need to, actively request to be put into it. And even then, it's dependent on how many requests Campus Residences receives each year. You do have to be 18 years or older by the start of the semester to, opt into it. And you really just indicate it in the housing portal during room selection. Every building on campus, except for Gray College, has gender inclusive housing spaces. That includes all the first year residential buildings, as well as the ones that students will move to later on in their academic careers. All of those have at least one section of gender inclusive housing in them. And, that provides a lot of good opportunities for students who, are perhaps transitioning or are just more comfortable living in a space, with individuals who would also like to opt into gender inclusive housing. For anyone, who does not choose to opt into gender inclusive housing, you are, housed based on your gender of record, based on your legal documentation. So, that's a resource that has developed over the years and continues to change and develop as, as we get more students through the years and get more feedback and see what can be changed and improved. All right, so up next, this is the last of the three big policies that our office kind of pushes for in this regard that I wanted to bring up today is the chosen or preferred name policy. So some of you might know, if you've been doing your homework, that all schools in the SUNY system, the state universities of New York, do now have a preferred and chosen name policy as per an order from the governor, I believe 2 years ago, which mandated all schools to set in motion a method by which students can use a chosen or preferred name. Thankfully, when that order came out, we actually didn't have to do much at Stony Brook because we already had this policy in place. It's a nice feeling to see, other institutions kind of scrambling to keep up, and we can say, okay, we're ahead of this one. So, in short, as it says there, it's university policy that anyone in the campus community, whether they're a student, a staff member, a faculty member, they can use a chosen or preferred name, that's different from their legal name wherever possible. Once again, like with any of these, there's no requirement to use it. Obviously, if you don't want to, just continue going by your legal name. But for students who do want to use it for any reason, that is available to them. It's currently, you're able to use it for your email address. It'll update in, on your student ID card, communications with orientation, commencement, and we're constantly looking for ways to expand and improve the policy. There are, of course, some instances where we can't use a chosen or preferred name. Things like billing, obviously, the health insurance on campus, through the student health center, obviously has to use, legal documentation. But in general, we want everyone to be able to use the name that they feel best with. And, you might be thinking, okay, well, this might not apply to me, right? I'm not trans, I'm not non-binary. And don't get me wrong, while many of these students who do utilize this policy are transgender or non-binary, it's not exclusively for them. Anyone can use it. We have some people who just go by a different name than their legal one. Sometimes they go by a middle name, sometimes they go by, a shortened name or a completely different one. Everyone in the campus community is more than welcome to use this policy. So up next, I wanted to talk a little about, as I mentioned, we do a lot of events and programs. So I wanted to talk a bit about some of those, what they entail, some of our campus traditions that our office and department gets involved in. So this was from just this past April. April and May, we hold an annual event called Pride Fest towards the end of April. Since the student population on campus is not very high during June, the actual Pride Month, we instead take a week towards the end of the spring semester to celebrate, our Pride-themed events. And while we do events all year round, this is definitely one of our larger scale initiatives. So as you can see there, we had a variety of events offered. We had some craft events, painting, things like that, self-care focused events. We had, our plant repotting, and our kind of capstone to that week of events is right in the center of the week. On Wednesday, we hold an annual Pride Fest block party on the Academic Mall right outside the Student Activity Center. We have, live performers, games, music, giveaways, food. It's really a great time, and so many students turn out for it, and it's just excellent. Moving towards this semester, the current semester, we also offer affinity groups in our center. These groups are informal. They're not, this isn't a therapy group. It's not, a support group. This isn't a counseling center, though we do have an excellent counseling center on campus. But these groups are really, identity-based for folks who are looking to connect with other students who share those identities or experiences. So, as you can see, I'll just go through these, rather quickly. We have Beyond the Binary, which is for trans and non-binary identifying students. Helping with Pride, which is for LGBTQ students going into helping professions, social work, nursing, medical school. Obviously, we have a lot of those at Stony Brook, very strong bio and, med programs. Rainbow Connection focuses on music, just connecting over shared love of listening to music, performing music. They usually do weekly music topic discussions. Mixed Roots is our affinity group for Black and Latinx identifying LGBTQ individuals. LGBTQ in STEM is probably self-explanatory, but that is for LGBTQ students who are interested in STEM fields and STEM majors. For those of you unfamiliar, STEM is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Then we have Achillean Attraction on Friday. Achillean Attraction is for male identifying students who are attracted to other men. The counterpart to Achillean is Sapphic. We do usually have an affinity group called Sapphic Space. It is not running this semester due to just a scheduling hiccup, but it will be back in the spring and for future semesters. And then we have Lavender Lines, which is focused on, craft activities and really just getting folks working with their hands, doing things that they enjoy and they love. So all of those affinity groups are, free and open for, well, all of our events are free and open for the campus community, but in particular, we get a lot of questions about the affinity groups. People say, oh, well, I'd like to come, but I don't know if I could commit to every Thursday. Not a problem. They are, drop in, drop out, no formal membership required, just they're held in our center. If you're available, you are welcome to join. October, for those of you who don't know, is LGBTQ History Month. So this year was actually our first year holding a formal, series of LGBTQ History Month events. So this is just our promotional, flyer for that. We had an opening celebration with a guest speaker. We did a coming out to paint event themed after Keith Haring. We had a discussion presented by an assistant professor on, trans healthcare and the political discussions and discourse that surround that. We had a live performance from Jessica Curson, an openly queer comedian here at the Stoller Center on campus, which for those of you who haven't had the chance to visit campus yet, the Stoller Center is fantastic. They always have wonderful shows going on each semester, and they do have opportunities for students to get free tickets. In collaboration with athletics, we held a volleyball pride night. So the volleyball team, got involved and just celebrated Pride. We had free pizza. They threw rainbow socks into the crowd during the game. It was a fun time. We had an alumni networking excuse me, alumni networking mixer at homecoming. We're really trying to build out that alumni network. There are a lot of people who find and build connections while they're here in their time at Stony Brook, and we want to keep those connections strong and keep them connected, and also connect them with incoming students, right? So you can network and learn about opportunities and resources available to you. And coming up next Friday, actually, we have two events: our annual Transgender Day of Remembrance Vigil and our annual Rainbow Fall Feast. Transgender Day of Remembrance is an annual observance in which we remember and memorialize, lives lost over the past year. And our Rainbow Fall Feast is an annual celebration of friendship and found family and the connections that we build here on campus in our time here. Given, the current situation with many things, we are also partnering with the Stony Brook Food Pantry to make this event into a food drive. So we're hoping to get a large number of donations at the event. And on the subject of the Stony Brook Food Drive, just to let you all know about this resource. So the Sewell's Pantry, Sewell's Pantry, which is the Stony Brook Food Pantry, is located on the lower floor of the Student Union. There are also two satellite locations, one on the second floor of the Student Activity Center and one right here in the LGBTQ Center. Anyone is welcome to use these food pantry satellite locations. You don't need to prove your need. You don't need to, answer a bunch of invasive questions. You show up, you take what you need. If you'd like to donate, you give what you can. Not financially, mind you, we're not collecting money, but people donate food items, things of that nature. And yeah, we like to have this satellite location because we know not everyone can make it during the regular hours of the food pantry, or they might just feel a bit self-conscious about that. So here it kind of helps eliminate some of that stigma. There's no questions asked aside from maybe, do you need some more? So I also would be remiss if I didn't talk about some of our student organizations. LGBTA, the Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, Transgender Alliance, is not only the oldest LGBTQ student organization at Stony Brook, but one of the oldest student organizations at Stony Brook, period. They just celebrated their 50th anniversary last year. They've been around since, I mean, long before even I was a student. And yeah, they are a fantastic organization. They meet every week for discussion meetings or, fun group events. They hold, social events, educational events, an annual drag show, all sorts of engaging activities and events. They're really great to get involved in. And definitely one of the primary ways for students to connect with other students who share those identities. So I know that's been a lot of me talking. Amanda, if you'd like, we can transition a bit to questions.
Yes, definitely. Thank you so much. I always learn so much from any virtual event, but especially this one. If anyone has any questions for Maxine, please use the Q&A. We will definitely save time for questions. Don't be shy. While we wait to see if anyone has any questions, is there anything else you want to tell us about?
Yeah, happy to. So as I mentioned, LGBTQ services is part of the Office of Diversity, Intercultural, and Community Engagement, which in and of itself is part of the Office of Student Life. So we are involved in a wide variety of aspects of campus life. Student life also involves student engagement and activities, which is the main, programming office here on campus that drives almost every major campus event, from homecoming to welcome week to Wolfieland. I always blank on the name of it, which is an annual carnival that comes right here to campus. It also encompasses, other areas such as the Spirit of Stony Brook Marching Band, which I feel obligated to give a shout out to. I am a band alum myself. For those of you who play any sort of brass, woodwind, or percussion instrument or do color guard, consider checking out the marching band. They're fantastic and a great way to connect with other students, and you also get an academic credit for it. Not every school does that. Let me see. I think we've got some. Okay,
yeah, we have some questions for you.
Okay, great. So, all right. So we'll start with this first one. Is there any LGBTQ plus related campus jobs or internships? Great question. Yes, there are. In fact, we offer them here at the LGBTQ Center. We have both paid positions and internships. Obviously, paid positions are dependent upon, the budget and, staffing needs, operational needs, etc. But yes, we do offer paid positions. We do also have internships. Usually for internships, there are, of course, exceptions, but usually internships are 3 credits per semester. 3 credits corresponds to 12 hours of internship commitment per week. And you're able to take that internship twice. So we usually ask students to commit to a full year, either, fall, spring, or spring, fall, obviously the following fall. So yeah, we, our entire student staff team here are, well, are here to work with LGBTQ plus communities. Let's say, what's the best part of the LGBT culture at Stony Brook? That's a fantastic question. I mean, I feel like it would be a cop-out to just say all of it. But as a more direct answer, I would have to say just the sense of acceptance. The students here on campus are so passionate about making everyone feel seen and welcome. Every day that I'm here, I see students go out of their way to, include people who maybe haven't traditionally been included or are, a little shyer or more introverted. And yeah, really the inclusivity and acceptance is, I think, the best part of the culture here. Let's see. So does the medical center on campus offer any gender affirming care, or are there referrals given for other off-campus places? Yeah, so we get that question a lot here, actually. Unfortunately, the on-campus student health center does not provide gender affirming care. It's not that they're unwilling to, but not every provider is well versed in that care, and they obviously want to make sure that they're providing a high level of care and living up to the standards of care that everyone deserves. So they do give referrals to off-campus places. There are some providers through Stony Brook Medicine who one could see for gender affirming care. There are also providers at one of Stony Brook's, for lack of a better term, satellite locations. The E.D. Windsor Center, located out east, I believe in the Hamptons. They also, manage gender affirming care for folks. So yeah, we're always happy to help get folks in touch with, with care providers and get them referrals, but yeah, unfortunately we don't provide gender affirming care directly on campus.
Can you talk? Oh, we have another question. Go ahead.
All right, perfect. Good timing, just as the other one. All right, if I changed my legal name while enrolled at Stony Brook, what would the process for changing the name on my college documents so that they match my new legal name? Okay, so I'm sorry, I clicked the wrong button there. Yeah, so great question. In short, it's really just submitting a couple different forms of, paperwork to a couple different areas, primarily the registrar's office. They handle, well, as the name implies, registration for, classes and enrollment. So providing them with the name change documents, the updated photo ID, things of that nature. We do also here at the center help, guide students as best we can through the process. Some students come to us asking, how do I initiate a name change? And obviously there's a lot of nuance to that, and we could spend an entire hour just talking about the name change process, because there's the license, the birth certificate, social security card, etc. But yeah, so in general, if someone has legally changed their name, they just have to submit a few forms of paperwork. It'll get processed. If there's any, lingering spots where their old name is seen, I don't know of them. I don't really see that issue pop up. Usually it's kind of one and done and resolved, but our office does also serve as the points of contact for, as I mentioned, the preferred and chosen name policy. So we are in touch with the computer accounts team, for example. If a name isn't updating in on the campus email for some reason, we get in touch with them, they resolve it right away. If, say, you changed your legal name after graduating, there are also ways to get your diploma updated to reflect that new legal name. Once again, it's just a brief, form that has to be submitted to the registrar's office, and it lists on the form what forms of ID are required for that.
So I was going to ask before about, you talked about living on campus. What's the kind of general feeling for students living on campus? Is it a positive experience for them, whether they're in gender inclusive housing or not? How would you describe that? And what's the feedback you get from our students?
Okay, yeah, I can answer that, in two parts. One from, the feedback I get from students. Students really seem to enjoy it. There's definitely a sense of community here on campus. You can, bond with whether it's your roommates or just other folks living in that same community. And, when you're here on campus, obviously you can take advantage of the wide range of hours offered by not just our center, but many locations on campus. Yeah, a lot of students seem to really, really enjoy it. I know housing is almost always not almost always, in every year that I've known of it, housing has been at capacity, because yeah, students really want to live on campus. And while it has been a few years, I can also speak as someone who, yes, I grew up in the Long Island area, but I did live on campus myself back when I was a student. Not going to say how many years ago that was. Um, but personally, I enjoyed it. In fact, I think that was one of the best decisions I made when it came to my college career, was choosing to live on campus. It's really a great opportunity, especially for folks who are looking to, be in a new environment and kind of get some new experiences and push themselves in a way that they maybe haven't before. Um, I think it's a great opportunity for development, and a lot of our students, yeah, report, loving their experience here on campus, and a lot of them stay in touch with friends and roommates, years after they've graduated.
Any other things you'd like to share with our guests? I don't want to end right now because there's so much great information, but I want to give everyone a few minutes in case they do have any additional questions for us.
Sure, yeah. I mean, if any, oh, there we go. What's the queer
Thank you.
culture like in the city from an out-of-state applicant? Okay, yeah, great question. I mean, it's New York City, it's got a really thriving queer culture there. I can't say, from firsthand experience, I haven't been very involved in it within the past few years. But in general, there is always something to do, something to see. There are different organizations, community-based groups that you can get involved with that have, regular outings and activities. Yeah, New York City has a fantastic queer culture. It's, accepting and thriving, really. And conveniently, we do have a train station right here on campus. It's the Northern Line of the Long Island Railroad, and that can take you straight into Penn Station. So yeah, a lot of folks do go into the city, on weekends, day trips, things like that. And yeah, there's a lot to see, a lot to do, and also, a lot of history, right? Every year, for the past couple of years, I've had the privilege of participating in the New York City Pride Parade with the SUNY Pride group. And we walk past, historical sites like the Stonewall Inn. Um, there's so much, yeah, history and culture here in the city. Well, not here in the city, out in the city.
What
Um,
about just expanding on that to like the Stony Brook and Long Island area?
yeah, there's a good amount. Definitely depends on what someone's looking to do. A lot of the groups or organizations that I'm familiar with are activity based. So you might have, a group for queer folks who are into archery, for example, right? So they do regular trips out to the archery range out in Patchogue. There's obviously, there is nightlife. Not going to dive too deep into that, but it exists. That's definitely around for folks who are looking for that. There's all sorts of what do you call it? Resources and community networks here on Long Island. We've got the LGBT network based out of Bayshore, I believe. They do a wide variety of events throughout the year. There's Pride for Youth. They're another great organization, and I know of a couple, smaller, much more, local based. I know someone out in Riverhead who does runs, a small LGBTQ group. A lot of different towns have communities and resources built around that locally. Let's see. All right, so what is the configuration of the gender inclusive dorm rooms? Suites, shared bathrooms, / showers, etc. Okay, great question. I know it doesn't sound like a great answer, but it depends. And what I mean by that is there are a couple different configurations of rooms here on campus. if I'm not mistaken, Amanda, you might know better than I do. I believe the first year rooms are all corridor style. Is that?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, so corridor style rooms. So for first year students, it's, you share a room with a roommate. You have, there's a shared bathroom on the floor for, however many dorm rooms are, on that wing that has, bathrooms and showers in it. It's shared among them. So for gender inclusive housing in corridor style, it's usually, you'll have a group of rooms that are all gender inclusive. And they'll have a shared bathroom and shower. So you know that, anyone who's using that is also part of the gender inclusive housing community. There are also what's called suite style dorms on campus. There's some I know Tabler, for example, has some. Kelly community, which is actually technically where the center is located, also has some. So those are a little different. They have a shared common space, and usually three smaller, dorm rooms that are just, bedrooms, and then a shared bathroom among the 6 individuals living in that suite. There might be a few in the newer buildings that are, a different size. They might have, 4 people, they might have 6 people. But excuse me. But yeah, so the configuration kind of varies. But yeah, let's see. Are there any clubs specifically for trans people at Stony Brook or just general LGBTQ clubs? So at the moment, our only active LGBTQ club is LGBTA. We did have a club in the past called the Trans Alliance, which, as you could tell from its name, primarily, yes, did focus on trans individuals. Unfortunately, when COVID hit, a lot of clubs became inactive, and some of them just haven't come back, not because we don't want them, but because all of our clubs on campus are student driven. So, students have to, if they're looking to create a club or organization, find an executive board for it, draft up a constitution, and submit that to student engagement. I would love to see Trans Alliance make a comeback. Currently, though, no, we do not have one, but I'm very hopeful for the future because this isn't the first time this has come up in recent memory. So hopefully that means there's some folks who might be interested in getting that going again. Let's see. Does Stony Brook offer any scholarships for LGBTQ plus students? So not directly for LGBTQ plus students. I think actually legally we can't. But we do have one scholarship called the Mary Lou Stewart Pride Scholarship, which is for students who have, been very involved in promoting inclusivity and acceptance in LGBTQ communities and, demonstrating support and advocacy for those communities. So I guess to summarize in short, the scholarships aren't focused necessarily on LGBTQ identity so much as on work and advocacy that's done for the community. And obviously, many of the people engaging in that work are part of the community. There's also, it almost slipped my mind because it's very new, a SUNY-wide scholarship called the Harvey Milk Award. It's only been offered twice so far. It just started last year. We just had the second round this past October. So, that is an award that a student can be nominated for, and if they are chosen, they do win a small scholarship. The amount has changed between this year and last, so I don't want to put a number on it because it'll probably change by next year too. But yeah, so that's one of the opportunities, and we're always keeping an eye out for other scholarship opportunities, and we use our weekly newsletter here from LGBTQ Services. We include, any scholarships we do hear about. There are some that aren't directly through the university, but rather through some outside, agencies or nonprofits. So we try to make students aware of those whenever possible. Perfect. Yep, that's the one. Yeah, so for anyone who didn't see, Amanda just linked the Harvey Milk Award for Student Leadership in the chat. That is, as I mentioned, it has passed for this year, but we're excited to keep an eye out for it next year when it comes back around. Let's see. Do you guys have any LGBTQ plus based competitions? For example, LGBTQ plus art, writing, music? No, not currently. I think it's a great idea. Thank you for suggesting that. We do have some, art and writing and music-based events and programs. Some of our affinity groups focus on that. But we haven't really tried any sort of competition in that regard. But I do think that's a good avenue for us to potentially explore. I think there might be some good involvement and engagement from that. So thank you. I think that's a good idea. Let's see. Is there anything I need to do for keeping syringes/meds in dorms for HRT? For those of you unfamiliar, HRT is hormone replacement therapy. No, there's nothing specific you need to do. Obviously, I would recommend making sure you have, the prescription, just, like when you pick it up from the pharmacy, it has your name and, the doctor's information on it. I'd recommend having it just in case. I haven't heard of any issues arising from that, and I have directly spoken with campus residences because some students have asked about that before. It is perfectly permitted under campus policies. It's a prescribed medication for you. It's really no difference. It's really handled no differently than insulin would be, right? Obviously that might be something you want to maybe discuss with your roommate, for example, so they know what they're going to see, and they're not caught off guard or jumping to conclusions if they see a sharps container or something like that. But yeah, it's absolutely permitted. No special requirements or prerequisites needed for that.
I don't see any more questions yet at this time. Do you have any kind of final thoughts or comments for our guests that joined us today before we say goodnight or good afternoon, wherever people are joining us from?
Yeah, I mean, in general, I just think, if there's one takeaway here, it's that regardless really of, what you decide to do, where you end up, though I hope it's Stony Brook, college is what you make of it. I know that sounds cliche, but genuinely, that's not just my experience, but having watched, a couple different cohorts of students come and go, over the years, your college and university experience is really what you make of it. If you put in active effort to get involved, to find, find your group, your niche, your people, you will have a great time, especially on a campus as big as Stony Brook. There's not many institutions in the area that really compare in terms of size. And, the one of the many upsides of that is that there is always something to do and there's always something for everyone. And, if there isn't, let's say you are interested in, having a club or organization based on an identity or an activity or a hobby or anything else, you can, look into it. We have, last I heard, slightly over 500 student clubs and organizations. And if there isn't one, you can lead the charge in making it. Every student is more than welcome to submit club proposals. They're open, once per semester. Yeah, really, my takeaway is just, get involved. Not to get too academic, but studies do show that students who get involved in some aspect of campus life beyond just pure academics do tend to do better academically as well as later on, post-graduation. You make, connections, and more importantly, you become well-rounded, right? Yeah, so get involved. Stony Brook is a fantastic place to find people who share, who share similar uh, backgrounds and who want to make a difference in the world the same way you probably do. So, there's a reason that I did my undergraduate degree here and then came back and did my master's degree here and then came back to work here. And that's because I genuinely love Stony Brook and I believe in its mission and vision. So take that as an endorsement.
Thank you so much. I just
Thanks
want
for
to
having
thank
me.
everyone for joining Maxine and I today. That was an excellent presentation. I hope everyone learned as much as I did and realizes how special a place Stony Brook is and how welcome you'll be here. We wish you, again, best of luck with college applications, college decisions. I know it's a busy year for everyone, but hopefully we'll see you on campus next fall. Thank you, Maxine. Have a wonderful rest of your day, everyone.
Take care,
Bye.
everyone.
Thank
Thanks for having me.
you. You're welcome.